Hello and welcome to today's episode of Platinum Talks Wealth. Emmy-nominated journalist Jennifer Rogers Markwell changed gears in her television career when she realized the need to help women make sense of investing. She regularly hosts educational workshops to empower women and others to take charge of their financial future. Now, join your host, Platinum Wealth Management President Jennifer Rogers Markwell, as she leads us into the world of money memories, money infidelities, and how these can mold our relationship with our personal finances as adults. Let's dive into today's episode.
Hi, and thanks for joining us on the Platinum Talks Wealth podcast. I'm Jennifer Rogers Markwell, and today we're joined by Tracey Bee. Tracey, thanks so much for making time.
Absolutely. Thank you for having me.
Of course. So tell us all about you and why you do what you do.
Oh my goodness. Well, I am one of 10. I am born and raised in New York. And so being one of 10 in New York City, whole lot of issues. My mom was not rich. My dad was not rich. Because of that, that molded me to be who I am, how I approach money, how I approach relationships, everything. And because of that too, I decided to do something that actually gave back. I intentionally went out with the intention to serve the population, a similar population of where I come from. You know, people who didn't have money, who come from low line of people who are just hardworking people. And that's always been my agenda, is to help people, serve people, particularly the people who need me most and who need my skills and my smarts most. And that's how I got here. I went to law school and graduated law school and went out in private practice and did all kinds of areas of law and wound up in family law. And I absolutely love family law because I get to use exactly what my values and beliefs are that I developed as a child in my work every single day. And I absolutely love it.
Yeah. So, when you were little, did you have this path kind of planned out for yourself? Or you're like, I want to do this, and this is exactly
No,
what I want to do? Or
didn't.
how did that happen?
You know, it's funny because when I was little, I wanted to be a psychotherapist. I knew I was gonna I was gonna get into people's heads and try to fix it. And then in I think my last year in college, I'm like, I don't think so because it's too much school and not enough money. It's not worth it. The remuneration is not worth it. So I decided at the last minute to actually go to law school. And it's funny because I never saw myself as a lawyer, but now that I am, I see how I got here. This is perfect for me because I always have an opinion. I'm always a critical thinker. I'm always trying to root for the underdog. And so this is perfect for me. Exactly. Exactly what's supposed to be. Yeah.
So funny that you say that, because I feel like in my profession too, there's a lot of overlaps, right? I think communicating, listening, the psychology behind what we both do, right? Like mine is obviously on finance and helping people manage their money or financial literacy or financial planning, but same thing. You're wearing a lot of hats in your role.
Absolutely. That's exactly the thing about family law. I've had to absolutely know the basic trials and tribulations of the people that I serve. And so, yeah, I actually have a background in mental health as well. So I actually get to combine the two working in the field of family law. No other area of law did I actually get the opportunity to really put all of my skills to work at the same time. So yeah, you're absolutely right.
Very cool. Well, thank you for sharing. So, another thing we talked through in this podcast are money memories. What's a money memory that you had as a younger person or teenager, whatever that looks like, that pops in your mind that really helped you mold your relationship with money as an adult?
Oh, it actually sabotaged my relationship with money. My mom, one of 10, single mom, everything was about money. Everything. She resorted everything. She found some correlation, everything in money. We never had enough. The interesting thing is, I never remember being hungry. Never. My mom, although she was very frugal and very money conscious, I don't remember ever having to eat something I didn't want to eat or having to wear shoes that were really, really, um, you know, inappropriate to wear because they were just finished. But that's not necessarily a good thing. Because as I grew into teenage years and young adulthood, and even up until a few years ago, that's how I was. I had this lack mindset in everything, even the way I approached my work with people.
Mhm.
And it actually took working with another coach for the coach to say to me, hey, you need to explore your relationship with money. Why are you projecting this energy that you're projecting when you're dealing with every aspect of your life? And I did. I did the work. I mean, I did a lot of reading. I did a lot of listening to podcasts. And I realized, yeah, I harbored this lack mindset because my mom had ingrained it in me from really, really young. And I didn't realize how it was handicapping me. Even though I felt like as a kid, I didn't feel poor, but she reminded us that we were poor. And it really that I think that's part of the reason why I was in denial, because I never felt poor, but I had poor behavior. I had poor people behavior, if that makes any sense. I had that lack. Everything I did reflected that lack mindset. And so, yeah, it wasn't until a few years ago that I really took the time to work on that, because I felt like I was hitting a ceiling over and over again. And I needed to push past that. And so I did. I finally did.
Yeah, that's fascinating. I think the, seeds that we had planted, whether that's subconscious or like us really seeing and understanding that, definitely make an impact on who we are as adults today. So you told me a little bit about how you kind of work through changing the narrative. What else did you do?
Oh my goodness. So I had to literally go back to the basics, budgeting. I went to budgeting. I went to actually working on a plan. And I'm not good at budgeting. I like to spend when I get, depressed or stressed. But I had to, and I still do that, but I'm more disciplined now. So I use apps and softwares. I have stickers all over my house and reminders and you name it. I did all sorts of things, but I really put a lot of effort into affirmation. I found affirmations to help me and I stuck to them. I still do them. I still do the affirmations to remind me that, hey, money is abundant. You have to manage money. You have to have a relationship with money where you show respect and you're intentional. So there's a range of them that I go through every day. I actually have some of them painted, posted up on my walls in my house just to remind me. Because every now and again I regress. I'm not gonna lie, I do regress, but I don't beat myself up about it. I just get back up and get back on track, and that's really helping me. Um, but for the most part, it's for me to actually incorporate these behaviors and these practices in my daily life.
You are listening to the Platinum Talks Wealth podcast.
Hey, it's Jennifer. I wanted to take a quick break to remind you that you are worthy to have a seat at the table when it comes to money and your finances. We, both me and my team at Platinum Wealth Management, want to meet you where you are, whether you're starting out, starting over, or have been investing for years. Reach out to us at platinumwealth.net or call us at 775-717-0001. We'd be honored to help.
And now, back to the podcast.
And I make an intention to do that. I make it my business to do that.
And I think we're all a work in progress, right? Truly, of, what we were brought up by, and did we change the narrative to better serve us as we're moving forward? But I think we're all a work in progress. And ultimately, I feel like money is an energy, and right? Money loves you. I mean, I don't think money should be your God by any means, but money loves you and is there to support you in however you want it to. But it's changing that kind of mentality to better suit yourself for whatever your path is.
Absolutely. Absolutely. I speak to my money now. I speak to my money. I tell my money the intention that I program it to do exactly what I set it out to do. And major shifts that happened for me because of all of the work that I've been doing and still do. So, yeah.
So another thing we talk through are financial infidelities, which I always kind of tease are a big, scary, hairy word, right? For a lot of people. What's a financial infidelity that you've experienced or you've witnessed that you think others could learn from?
In my line of work, I see it all the time. I see it all the time. I recently took the time to study stay-at-home moms, particularly stay-at-home moms who had a career or who had a profession and they decided to stay home once they had the baby to leave their profession. I did that. That's exactly what I did. I raised my son. I left work. I raised my son, and I literally had to rely on my partner, my son's dad. And I see this often dealing and working with stay-at-home moms is the level of um, control and manipulation and um, oh, it gets ugly. I see nowadays, and I hate to sound sexist, but a lot of times it's the women. It's the women who are staying home, and they contributed just as much, just as I did. And the moment, the roles changed, their role changed to become a stay-at-home mom, the power shifts, and they start to question now their competency, their value, their level of success to some degree, because their spouse now is manipulative with the money. He controls how much she spends, how much she has access to the money. Um, and a lot of times, by the time it gets to the point where they're considering leaving, they find out that they've been hiding money, they've been wasting money, mismanaging money. Um, the list goes on. And I see it more and more because of that. It's really hard, but I try to talk to stay-at-home moms when divorce is not necessarily on their mind to enlighten them about this. I've changed. I used to wish until they got to that point. Well, now I'm trying to catch them so that they could start to be mindful, be aware, take steps, prepare. You know what I'm saying? And
Totally.
yeah, and
I,
some people appreciate that. Some people still, well, we're never going to get divorced. We're good. Okay.
but
I
that is the traditional definition of financial infidelities, right? Many things that you were saying, and I feel like again, I mean, my grandparents raised me, right? They were mom and dad. So back in the day, depression kids, like he was the guy who kind of did most of the things in the finance realm. And she, I mean, they were married a very long time, but she kind of went along with it. And she was aware, but not aware. I mean, with clients sitting down, I always want to see both partners in a room together, right? So we're on the same playing field, we're on the same page. And again, some couples like to keep their stuff very separate. Some like to combine only certain accounts. But I always say, Lord forbid, if something were to happen, whether that to be divorce, whether that be death. I mean, the last thing you want to do in any of those situations is try to pick up, the pieces financially and try to move forward when you already have, some pain in your heart.
exactly. A lot of times, unfortunately, it happens way too often where the stay-at-home mom, now she has to readjust. Now she has to try to re-enter a career force that changed drastically, and she has to deal with the emotion, and she has to mend the family that she has now, the change in the dynamics of the family. And she's doing all of this trying to survive, trying to get back to the point where she can, especially in this climate, provide for herself and her kids. And it's amazing. I have one client that I recollect who she's still struggling. I check in with my clients periodically, and she said, she's coming from a seven-figure income, dynamic. And she responded and told me that she actually had to apply for food stamps. And she's 66 years old. How depressing. And so I really now try to get a hold of them and say, listen, you don't have to be thinking about divorce. And like you said, it can be death, but just do yourself your favor. If you're not going to do it for yourself, do it for your kid. Just inform yourself. Make yourself aware of, you know, everything as much as you can. Don't go through this blindly, you know? And yeah, and that's my message now. And I try to get a hold of them very early on because of that. I see it all too often. And with me too, I mean, luckily I was smart enough, I'm always 10 steps ahead of my ex-partner. So I was always that way. But, the times when I did have to depend on him, only to find out that he was mismanaging so much money, I was just totally blown away. Totally blown away. and going through feelings of shame and guilt because I knew better. So yeah, yeah. That's
Yeah,
definitely
I think that's, I mean, that's a hot topic, I think, for a lot of folks. And I think that ties to, financial literacy. Like, where do you even start? Like, if you know nothing and you're like, I've always had somebody kind of take care of it. And, if that hasn't been my thing, like, even learning the basics. I mean, back to the budget, back to like what your expenses are, back to, discretionary, non-discretionary expenses. Like what does that look like? Even back to the basics. And I mean, that's huge. To start somewhere. Financial literacy is out there. I mean, make sure that obviously you're going to somebody who's reputable to get financial literacy. That's why we do the podcast. And that's why we do a
exactly
lot of the things that we do for free financial literacy. And again, not to say anything about the people who are 12 on TikTok spewing financial literacy, but that drives me
exactly.
crazy because I want it to be accurate and
Ex-
appropriate and not, you know,
Absolutely
crazy.
correct.
But no, I feel like just starting somewhere and giving yourself that grace, knowing that you're just trying to figure it out baby step by baby step, and no questions are silly questions, no matter where you're at in your journey.
It's important. And it's funny because I was talking to someone I just met. I had a coffee chat earlier, and he's a mediator. And he said to me, hey, listen, if you don't do anything else, do me one favor. Start giving your clients an assessment to find out where they are with their financial literacy so that you can help them better. And I thought that was amazing because we are in the same industry, but he sees things from a different angle because mediation, yeah, they're really trying to resolve and settle things, but they have to be really candid and upfront with their financial predicaments, situations, assets, and all that stuff. And so for him to say that, I thought that was amazing because I'm usually the one that comes up with all these proactive ways to help people prepare even before, like I said, divorce is a thought. So for him to say that, I'm like, you know what? I will. That's exactly what I will start doing because I am determined to help them get a handle on things before it gets to that point where they don't have many choices.
That's huge. And I think that's so important. And even going back a little bit further psychologically, kind of to money memories and the worthiness. I mean, the
Yes.
worthiness is a thing. Like I feel that a lot of women, again, it's getting better. Women are growing and taking responsibility for finances. And I love that so much. And that's again why I do what I do 100%. But I feel like taking that responsibility and realizing that no matter where you're at with your financial journey, you are worthy of a seat at the table. 100%, a million percent over.
Absolutely. Absolutely. And it's interesting that you mentioned that because a lot of us come from a lineage or, a line of ancestors where that wasn't the thing, especially certain cultures, it's still not acceptable. It's still not allowed. But nowadays, there are ways where you don't have to be fully or well versed in money matters, right? I think you should, but okay, if you don't want to, because some people are still intimidated by it, and it might be because of cultural differences, but know what you should know, at least, is what I say.
Get
Know
the
what,
basics
know what you should
get
know.
the basics down and get people to help you along the way. I mean, obviously people that are accredited, licensed, whatnot, but yes,
That's
it
That's
takes a village, I feel like in so many different instances
it
and
does.
just to
It
move
does.
forward.
Exactly. Exactly. It's funny. The other irony is I was at a networking event yesterday and someone said to me, you should probably add financial professionals onto your team so that when you're doing strategy work with your clients, you already have that person. And I said, why are you in my head? Because that's exactly what I've been doing for the last couple of weeks, working on building that team of someone who could, hey, I see you're having struggles with things like budgeting. Well, I have somebody who's going to, actually do 30 minutes with you, part of my package, and you're going to spend the 30 minutes with them. And then you'll come back to me and let me know how you felt or where you are or where we should pick up from having done that. Because for me, as a strategist, it's extremely important that they're informed. Having more information equates with control. And that's what I'm about controlling, taking control of your case and ensuring that most of it goes exactly the way you want it to go, in the end.
And that
Yes.
equals empowerment.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah,
It's
no, thank you.
important.
Thank you for sharing. So, financial infidelity is big one, money memory is big one. Another thing that I always find fascinating asking folks is how are you doing things different in your own household? What are tips and or tricks that you use to utilize money differently at home?
It's funny. I have a 12-year-old. We budget. I give him an allowance. He cannot get anything extra. If he wants anything extra, like, aside from food and clothes, he has to use his allowance. So he gets $20 a week. If he wants something that costs $35, he has to wait for 2 weeks to get that money. And I even, my friends laugh at me. They're like, surprised at me because I was always the one that, spent money or didn't have a budget. So for me to be that way with him, and he's picking up the habit as well. So now he knows. And so we do that. And we do budget. We do discuss, like we just went on vacation and I gave him an idea of how much money we were going to spend and how much money, what our cap was. We were not going to go beyond that. And I explained to him why. I'm always filling him in about the cost of things. And I'm always giving him insight. And I do this for me too, as a reaffirmation for me, of choices, of the difference in prices and the difference in the quality and all that stuff. So we shop differently. We use apps now to make sure we're not spending. I did none of this a few years ago, none of it. I just went out there and bought what I needed. Well, now I'm more conscious of it. And so, so we use apps to shop for the best deal and to save money. And we don't buy much of what we just want. We buy what we need most of the time because I was bad at that as well. Also, we do so many things. What I do want to start doing with him is to have an actual meeting where we sit down and discuss money on a regular basis. But he's going through some other stuff mentally. So I'm trying to pace myself. I don't want to overwhelm him. But again, part of that is for me too, so that he can be, because he will tell me if I'm out of line or if I'm off track with something that I already told him he will tell me in a minute, hey, that's not what you said. You told me that we were going to spend more than $50. So why are you spending $80? So it helps me too. So those are some of the things we do. Absolutely.
Good job, Mom. Starting them early.
Yes, I
Awesome.
have to, because when his dad and I were together, his dad was horrible with money. His dad was horrible with money. And I saw my son picking up those same habits. And his dad passed away 4 years ago. So he's not around to influence him that way. But I tell my son, I'm very transparent. I say to him, listen, some of those habits are the same habits your dad had. They didn't land him in the right place. So I don't want you to go there. So listen, these are the things that we need to do to make sure you don't wind up like him. And so he's mindful. My son is really, really intelligent and he's really well behaved. But every now and again, he's still a kid. He's 12. So, some things I have to explain to him why we're doing something the way we're doing. And so, but again, it's all reaffirming for me as well, because he's going to keep me in check too. So
we're all learning from each other.
Exactly. And I don't think anybody's too young to learn from. I listen to everybody. Because everybody has a perspective that I just don't have. We don't have everybody's, because we're all individuals. So I listen to what he has to say, and I welcome that. And so if he says, hey, Mom, I don't think you should do that. We don't really need that. We have something at home. Hey, you know what? You have a point. I'm going to put that back.
Nice. Well, thank you so much for making time to share today.
Thank you. Thank you so much for having me. It was really awesome talking to you. I appreciate it.
Oh, gosh.
You gave me some ideas to go and actually implement with my clients too. So it's important.
Fantastic. Well, hopefully those of you also listening and or watching will join us in the next Platinum Talks Wealth podcast.
If you enjoyed today's podcast, Platinum Talks Wealth, please subscribe and share. For more information about Jennifer Rogers Markwell or Platinum Wealth Management, please visit www.platinumwealth.net. Securities and advisory services offered through LPL Financial, a registered investment advisor, member of FINRA and SIPC. The opinions voiced in this podcast are for general information only and are not intended to provide specific advice or recommendations for any individual. To determine which strategies or investments may be suitable for you, consult the appropriate qualified professional prior to making a decision. The guest speakers and their companies are not affiliated with or endorsed by LPL Financial or Platinum Wealth Management.